Hi everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Today's video is all about all of the books that I'm hoping to read in August, and hopefully it's a smaller TBR this month. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name's Alice and I have way too many books. And in the interest of getting through some of those way too many books, I'm bringing you another TBR. This one is for the month of August, and in August there is one major event that, although I'm not hosting, I am still going to make an effort to take part in. More on that later, because I've got basically a pile of possibilities for that readathon, and I've got some books at the beginning to talk about that are definites, that are buddy reads or group reads, and the rest of August I'm hoping to just read what I feel like. Starting with at the end of June, I've been in a little bit of a reading slump. It wasn't too bad, like reading seemed to pick up again, and then I've had another bit of a dip, which seems like a bit slumpier than the slump before. So yeah, July's been a really slow reading month, so I want to try and keep August as open as possible for sort of anything goes and just reading what I feel like reading. Now, having said that, I do have a couple of reading commitments. I think I've got one book club, which is my own book club, 3 buddy reads, and my pile of possibilities for GarbAugust. And beyond that, I will probably read at least one from the GarbAugust pile, and I'm just going to be gentle on myself, let myself choose whatever I want to read in August from my shelves. So hopefully I will be cutting down the giant TBR, but we will have to see. First of all, let's talk about the definite reads that I've got planned in, and the first one is for FOMO Bookclub, which is my own book club that I host with Jack over at Spread Bookjoy and Gemma at Gemma Books, and we're reading one book every 2 months that we feel we've missed out on. And the book for July and August, which I haven't started yet but plan to start very soon, was The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is probably the book I had the most FOMO about, having not read yet, so really looking forward to getting into this still. I just haven't quite got to it as it stands towards the end of July, so I may start this in July, I may start it in early August, but it's definitely one I'm really looking forward to. Hopefully more on that at the end of August, when I will be talking about it live on Gemma's channel for our FOMO Book Club meeting. So that's read number 1. Then I have 3 other commitments, which are all buddy reads, and the first one is a buddy read with Jennifer from Jennifer Loves Books. I've buddy read with Jennifer once before and I really enjoyed it. We read a great book, a brilliant thriller, and this time we've chosen to read a book by John Wyndham. And now I've previously read John Wyndham's probably most famous book, The Day of the Triffids, and this one is less famous, but it's The Kraken Wakes by John Wyndham, which was in a book called a couple of months ago. This sounds like it involves a global calamity, fireballs, apocalypse, and I love the way that John Wyndham's writing is sort of to me, it always seems sort of ahead of its time, written back in, I think, the 50s, very much visions of apocalyptic futures. So looking forward to reading this with Jennifer, hoping that's another good one from John Wyndham. Another buddy read that I'm doing is going to be mid-month, and I'm waiting for the book to come in from the library on this one. And this one is a buddy read with Gemma from Gemma Books, who I often buddy read with, and someone who I've never buddy read with before, which is Jess from the brilliant channel Stalking Kafka. So really looking forward to that. I'm going to be reading I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman, and I believe this is translated from the French. If I can find out the translator's name of the edition I'm going to be getting from the library, I will put it up on screen. I believe this one is kind of post-apocalyptic as well, a bit of vibes of Handmaid's Tale from what I've heard, and yeah, absolutely don't even need to know more than that. I just want to buddy read that with Gemma and Jess. So very much looking forward to that buddy read. And another buddy read I'm really looking forward to, but it's going to be a bit of a buddy read with a difference because it is a series of books, but we'll see how far we get in August. And it's going to be a reread for me. It's one of my absolute favourite series of all time. I do not understand why these books and this series do not get more love, are not talked about more. And if you have read this series and loved it as well, do comment down below because I need to hear from more people who love this series. So I first had this series read to me by my mum when I was younger, and I have since reread them as an adult, but at least 10 years ago now, so definitely due another reread. And I'm going to be rereading these with Gemma from Gemma Books and Jack from Spread Bookjoy, and we've had this plan for ages. I'm really looking forward to it because neither of the other two have read these. Really hoping that they agree with me that this is a very underrated, very good fantasy series. Enough rambling about how great it is. The series is the Dark is Rising sequence, and it begins with Oversea Under Stone, which is just a fantastic children's book in which the Drew family are on holiday in Cornwall and they end up finding an ancient map. So there's a bit of a quest narrative develops. But from the second book, The Dark is Rising onwards, fantasy elements come into this. It becomes very much a fantasy series, which gets darker and darker as the books go on. I can easily see me wanting to absolutely binge read these. I'm pretty sure we'll get through at least these two, provided the slump doesn't get in the way. After those two books, to complete the series, come the books Green Witch, The Grey King, and Silver on the Tree. These are all children's books. None of them are especially long, so I don't know how many of these we will end up reading in August, but I can bet that I am going to want to binge these, so we will see how that goes as a buddy read and how we get on with this series. Yeah, I'm really excited for this big reread project for me. And yeah, I can't wait to read this series by Susan Cooper again. I think it is so underrated. Another book that I want to mention that I will definitely be getting to, and I may have already read it by the end of July. It's my book that I've not yet started for the Women's World Cup readathon. I'm hosting with Mark from Book Time with Elvis, Roz at Scally Dandling About the Books, and Jack from Rambling Raconteur. So the book I was planning to read for my team Denmark for the Women's World Cup readathon is Hans Andersen's 42 Stories. These are children's stories, fairy tales, and one of the most famous authors from Denmark. So I decided to read some of these tales, probably not all, but we will see how I get on and how into it I get. I haven't read any of them yet, but the good news is that Denmark didn't lose their first game, so I don't need to read a book for China, but we will see how the rest of the tournament goes. This is definitely one that I will be dipping into. All I've got left to show you today is a pile of possibilities for the very trashiest readathon available on YouTube, GarbAugust. Now last year I was kindly invited to be a host for GarbAugust, and this year I decided not to host because I wanted to be free in August to read what I wanted to read. I knew that I would read some trashy books, but I didn't want to push myself like I did last year to read like books that were just so far outside my comfort zone. So this year I'm sticking to my bookshelves. I haven't bought anything new or extra for this, and these are my possibilities. I would like to say, first of all, and I said this many times last GarbAugust, that I do not look down on any reading. Reading is reading. I do not judge anyone on their choice of books. Even the books that I read last year that weren't for me, I know that they are for somebody. They all have their market out there, and they are all very well loved. A lot of so-called trashy books have in common that they are very popular books, and books that are therefore sort of churned out by publishers who tap into these trends. I honestly do not judge anyone who reads Jilly Cooper, Jackie Collins, all of the bonkbusters that I tried last year. They're just not for me. They're so far out of my non-romance reading comfort zone. It's ridiculous. But I have selected from my shelves the nearest things to trash that I feel I have available. So some people might consider these trashier. Last year I was calling books trash adjacent, and I believe all of these books to probably fall into the category of trash adjacent. All of these books have a reason why I bought them, a reason why I really enjoy reading them. And I think the best thing about GarbAugust is getting to read whatever we feel like reading, not looking down on books, no to book snobbery, and basically enjoying our reading, reading what I like to refer to as brain candy, books that will give me a break from all of the literary fiction and classics that I've been reading. Not that I've been reading that many classics, but I don't personally think that they are hugely trashy, but I will tell you the reasons why I feel like they just about qualify for GarbAugust. And I'm sure if I do read any of these, I will have a lot of fun reading them. And I definitely will read at least one. So starting off with the book that I actually thought of first as the book that I wanted to read last year for GarbAugust when it first started. This was the one book on my shelf that I was certain was trashy, because it is not only a spin-off book from a TV series, it is a book purporting to be written by a character in the TV series. So if you've never heard of the TV series Castle, this is a book to do with that series. So basically, in the TV series Castle, we follow a mystery writer called Richard Castle, who is shadowing a New York police detective and writing a book. And this is one of the books that he has supposedly written. So obviously this has a lot of hallmarks of trash. I have already read the first two in this series, Heatwave and Naked Heat, and this one is the third book, Heat Rises. I probably won't read another Nikki Heat book after this, because I think that I've probably had enough of them. I haven't watched Castle for years. So this is kind of a TV tie-in book, but also written under a pseudonym, because Richard Castle, who has apparently written it, is in fact a fictional character. Yeah, it's about a fictional detective called Nikki Heat. Richard Castle includes himself in this book under the pseudonym of Jameson Rook. I hope to get this read this year, because I didn't get it read last year for whatever reason, and I think it will be great fun and not too difficult to read. So that's one of my options for GarbAugust. The other option, which I'm really looking forward to getting to, is the only book that I have left as a TV tie-in for the TV series Red Dwarf. These were all my husband's books, and I think I read two of them, or one of them last GarbAugust, and I read one for GarbAugust 1.5 in February. And this is Backwards by Rob Grant. It's the only Red Dwarf novel that I have left, and I've been really, really enjoying these. So these are more like the traditional TV novelisation, but there is a lot more in here than would be in the TV episodes of the series Red Dwarf. If you've never watched Red Dwarf, it is a British comedy set in space, following Lister, who is like the last human alive, and a cast of characters including Cat, who has evolved from the ship's cat, and a hologram of his former bunkmate, and an android, among others. These books are usually hilarious. I really enjoy them and fly through them, so would really, really like to read this in August. Okay, next we're going into books that I thought might roughly apply, but probably don't. One of the prompts on the GarbAugust bingo card this year has to do with reading a book with a sexy vampire in it, and I was really, really enjoying this series at one point, but I haven't revisited it in ages, and it's Laurel K. Hamilton's Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series. And these started out with Anita Blake being very much like a vampire hunter, and I really, really enjoyed it off the back of how much I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer and so on. But of course, Anita does end up involved, I believe, with a vampire, and he's probably in this one. So yeah, I think The Killing Dance might be about book 6, 7 or 8 in the series. I'm not quite sure. I've got 2 of these left on my shelf, but I bought when I was really interested in the series and then just didn't carry on with it. I would love to get to this one. These books are great. These, like all of these books actually, are really well written, and it's only really by virtue of vampire characters being in this that I thought of it for GarbAugust. So might get to that one, we will see. Another one that I definitely wouldn't consider trash, but I know some other people would, is Sati by Christopher Pike. I really enjoy revisiting my teen years and revisiting Christopher Pike, who I used to absolutely love reading when I was a teenager. I've never actually read Sati before. I don't personally think these are trashy, but they are definitely brain candy for me. They are books that I can fly through and that I can enjoy in like a sitting or two. So I think this would be a good brain break during August as well. And I don't actually know what this one is about. I haven't ever read it. If I do read it, I will let you know what it's all about. Next up, a book that I thought about last year for August, and I decided it was maybe a bit too classy. The reason I've selected it is because it is pulp fiction, and this is the Mike Hammer Omnibus by Mickey Spillane. This features 3 Mike Hammer books: I, the Jury, My Gun is Quick, and Vengeance is Mine. And I noticed that one of the prompts for GarbAugust is to read something with an exclamation mark in the title, which Vengeance is Mine does qualify for. There is also a prompt central to the GarbAugust bingo board this year to read a green book in memory of the lovely Pax, who was a fellow co-host of GarbAugust last year and tragically passed recently. Yeah, I would love to get to this one for Pax. You can't get much more green than this book cover, and I will hope to get to that because I have wanted to read a Mickey Spillane pulp story for a long time, and I've never ever got to that book. Only a couple of options left. I've got another book that I bought for GarbAugust last year and I didn't end up getting to it, and I bought this for GarbAugust because I was looking for a sort of bordering on trashy mystery or thriller series, and I didn't really know where to look for that. And the lovely Janelle from Too Fond of Books, who also recently passed away very sadly, recommended me a series that her husband had very much enjoyed. That was the Travis McGee series, and I ended up buying The Empty Copper Sea from that series in this very cool golden cover. This is a whole series of books. All of them have a colour in the title, and Travis McGee is basically like a salvage expert, a bit of a bounty hunter, I get the impression. Basically, I feel like you can pay him to find things for you. And I did start reading a Travis McGee mystery last year, but it was on Libby, it was an ebook, and I just was discovering at the time that I really can't get on with ebooks, so I wasn't able to read it. So I bought this on a trip to a secondhand bookshop, and I would definitely really like to get to the Travis McGee series. And my final option for GarbAugust on my pile of possibilities is a book by a celebrity. Books by celebrities and celebrity biographies have been sort of generally deemed to be a bit trashy, and I thought that this one might apply. It's by a musician. There definitely will be a lot of drugs in this one, and that is Scar Tissue by Anthony Kiedis, who is of course the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I've been wanting to read this for a very long time. My husband has read it before, and I actually think that this will be very serious, not very GarbAugusty, but if I am in the mood for some non-fiction, I may well get to this one. So that is everything I have on my GarbAugust pile of possibilities. I think that's all for today. I feel like every time I make a TBR, I say, oh, I don't think I've got many books to show you today, and then I proceed to show you loads. But as always, I caveat it by saying that they're all possibilities, and if I'm still quite slumpy, I may read 1 or 2 of the GarbAugust books, I may read just one, I may end up just reading something else off my shelf altogether. It depends what I'm in the mood for. So we will see how August goes. We will hope my slump is gone by then. If you are also joining in with GarbAugust, let me know in the comments down below. I really enjoyed it last year, even if I did read some books that I will never return to. And yeah, I hope you enjoy whatever you've picked to read in August. Let me know something that you're planning to read in the comments if you would like to. I hope you've enjoyed this video today, and if you have, please do give it a like. Please do consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will hope very much to see you all again soon for another video all about books here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.